Hey, listen to this. Before we get to baseball, I've got late breaking Dan Lanning news.
Mm-hmm.
We have the clip, thanks to one of our listeners.
Is it glorious?
Well, you be the judge.
I'm waiting.
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
God, it was everything I could want.
Oh my God!
It's perfect.
The best part of football is football, and so you got to do football.
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
Football's football. Football's football.
Football is football.
Football's football.
Football is football.
Football is football.
Football's football.
There's
God.
one thing that we've learned doing this for 20 years, and it
We
is
know this.
indeed
Yes.
football is football.
No one knows better than this show.
Yes.
That football is football.
Yeah. And look, you have to do football. And in order
The only way to get better.
is to
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
yeah, that's it.
The only thing that would be better about that clip is if he said do football.
Yes. Yeah.
The best part of football is football, and so you got to do football.
It's the only way that clip could have been better is if he
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
Can we slice in a do on that?
I mean, we could try.
I always used to say that, like, because you do conditioning, there is nothing that gets you in shape for football other than actually playing that stupid sport. I don't care how much you run or whatever. You the first time you go out and you put on pads, you're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Well, isn't that why they say that?
Yes.
Like, they're all saying it. So what do they mean? Football is football means
You have to do it.
you just
So
Yeah,
you got
it's
to
the
do
same.
football.
Well,
and so you just have
And I'm assuming that clip, because I was one of the Twitter accounts that I follow was talking to Lanning after the spring game, and someone had asked him about like tackling during spring. Like, do you tackle? Because a lot of teams now don't live tackle, and Lanning was like, no. He goes, look, you try to be smart about it, but his thing was, dude, if you want to be a good tackling team, guess what? You have to
gotta
tackle.
tackle.
And if you want to be physical, if you want to run the ball, you have to run. You have to do those sorts of things. And so I come from a world, and by the way, I'm jealous. I am not one of these dudes that's like, yeah, back in my day. But there's a little bit of like, I am so jealous when I see people's spring practice schedules and there's no more 2-a-days and all the different restrictions, because we just did like 2-a-days were legitimately 2-a-days for like 3 weeks, and they were all padded. It was pads in the morning and pads in the evening. It's just that's all it was.
Well,
There was no sort of we need to save ourselves. It was just like,
Yeah.
we're gonna kick you in the balls for 3 months or 3 weeks straight and see what happens.
we're gonna make you men.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not.
It appears the
Yes.
context of that is him being asked about whether it was disheartening to see players who had been banged up for a lot of spring then get hurt in the spring game. And he said
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
because football's football,
Yeah.
and the only way you get better is by playing football.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The idea of like load management or resting legs, that did not, trust me, in the world of Norm Chow, that did not exist. The idea of, I'm just like that, if you don't, Norm Chow is the legendary offensive coordinator, these Heisman trophies at USC and BYU, and did Phillip Rivers at North Carolina
UCLA too, right?
State. No, USC. I don't think he was ever at UCLA.
Oh, you're right.
But he was just this old school Hawaiian guy. He was he was our de facto head coach. The idea of going up to Norm Chow and telling him that I didn't really feel like putting on the pads today because, it's been 2 days in a row and my back's a little sore.
Norm Chow, UCLA OC, 08 to 2010. Who's the idiot now?
Wow.
Who's the idiot now? We think.
But
Who's
also
the idiot
USC.
now?
He would have taken one of his giant Hawaiian man calves and kicked me with it. It just. Who do you think you are? And I'm jealous. Like, I am not one of those guys that's like the way we did it was better, but there is an element to that. If you wonder why teams don't tackle and why teams aren't as physical, that is part of it. It's why the NFL at the beginning of the year
Not at Oregon.
is so bad. Remember you ever watch the first 2-3 weeks of the NFL and you're like, oh my God, because they're not allowed to actually go through live stuff, and that's the NFL.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard.
I remember Mike Riley once telling us when we used to have him on. By the way, you missed Mike Riley is now a member of the College Football Playoff
I
Committee.
saw that too. Boy, that guy just finds a way to.
He's
him and His
great.
dad genes just resurface
Yeah,
places.
he's going to ride his bike to the meetings each week. It's going to be
Someone have to explain to him Zoom.
cute as hell.
I
At
love
any
Mike
rate,
Riley.
he told us back in the day.
Back in the day now.
He played for Bear Bryant in Alabama,
Yeah.
and he said that that you'd get into. I mean, it'd be late summer, so it'd be hot as hell down there, and
Yep.
Bear Bryant wouldn't even let him have water.
No, water was viewed as weakness.
Yeah, like you don't need water.
Yeah.
Bitch, get up and run.
Yeah. We had one in high school. If you took off your helmet, it's 95 degrees. If you took off your helmet, like you were in serious trouble.
I'm gonna kick your ass, you little bitch.
Yeah. Take some salt tablets and start running again. Like the game is better.
Kick the ball, you little bitch.
But as far as
That's for the kickers.
on-field performance, it does affect it because you can't do the live stuff. But in Dan Lanning's world, hey man.
Well, I like that. I want that attitude in my football coach. I don't care about the players. Just, hey, next man up. Move it up 10. Let's go.
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
Damn
That's
right.
exactly right.
And remember, choose not to be sick.
Yeah, that's another great one. Dan Lanning says that being sick is a choice.
And we asked him because you were out. I was like, hey, do you ever get sick? No. Sickness is a choice.
Sick? What are you talking about?
The best part of football is football. And so you got to do football.
Man, I love football coaches.
Yeah.
All right. They're, deep down at their core, they're all the same.
There's an element of
They're all the same.
There's I think there is a few Mike Rileys that I think are slightly different.
But I guarantee you somewhere along the line, Mike Riley said, football's football.
It's Division I football.
Well, it is amazing to think about that he came from the Bear Bryant coaching tree and came out as soft-spoken and as nice.
Yeah.
Like
that's
Bear
true.
Bryant was a legendary a-hole.
Yeah.
Like,
Usually,
Yeah, you think they would have whipped him into shape and made him
Right.
a little bit more of a red ass.
well, usually you emulate the leaders that you had.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Not
why-
Mike Riley.
It's why I was always afraid to go into coaching.
Hello.
And luckily my schedule doesn't allow it, but as I've said, I hated my offensive line coach so very much. I hated a lot of my coaches. And I was always afraid that I would just turn into that. I'd be on the sidelines and couldn't help myself. I would just feel myself start to shake and yell and mimic Roger French, and then I would have to die.
By the way, before we move on here, somebody brings up another clip, a classic fan clip. And it took me a second to put two and two together here, but this text says, I don't know, you ask coaches about tackling, they fall asleep on the phone.
Teams really don't tackle in the fall anyways. How many days would you venture to guess that you would go live anyways? Coach? Hello?
Hello.
Oh,
we still there.
Hello.
Oh,
Sorry
okay.
about that.
Hashtag never forget.
Brady Hoke falling asleep,
It's an all-timer.
all low T.
Yeah.
Coach?
You ask
Hello?
about tackling.
Hello?
Yeah, what, huh?
What?
To be fair, that was like it. I think
It
that
was.
It was like 7 a.m.
Yeah, but to be fair, those guys say when they want to do it. Like,
and
you know.
Dan Lanning shows up at 7 a.m. in the morning and
He's
with
not falling
bells
asleep.
on. That dude ain't falling asleep. He's had 10 cups of coffee. He's ready to
I
ball.
wonder if we just said, hey, we're not going to tell you who this is, but just,
Oh.
could you ever imagine this happening to you during an interview? I don't. I just,
Oh,
probably-
playing that for Lanning would be something.
I don't want. Yeah,
that's borderline.
It's dicey.
Yeah.
Because someone
He
will
maybe
know.
knows Brady Hoke or something.
Also, same institution.
Just the idea of Dan Lanning falling asleep during an interview.
He could not be more opposite of fall asleep on the phone guy.
Yeah, I don't see him really sleeping ever.
Yeah,
No.
he probably gets 2 hours a night.
Wired. Gruden was like that. I never saw him tired.
I
Not
read
once.
a bio on him that Gruden had his alarm set for 3:13 a.m. and it started by wake him up to with Bon Jovi blaring at that time.
I've
Like-
never seen him tired.
Yeah.
Just every meeting we were at, I for a while was like, what is he on? Dead serious. Like, there's no way that someone can be that turned up the entire time. And then you're like, no, he can.
He runs a marathon at sprint speed. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And it just blew me away. Because when you meet people like that, and I think Lanning is one of those guys, this is what he was meant to do. And I've always wanted to see, because Lanning didn't play at a high level, right? He played lower level football.
Robert Jewell College, I
William
William
Jewell,
William Jewell.
Kansas City.
And I think Gruden was like a backup quarterback at Dayton. I would love to see was he like that
in college.
in college too?
believe. Was he Rudy?
Because I remember sitting in meetings and you are fighting to stay awake, right? It's like you're in the middle of a mid-season grind or 2 days or whatever, and you're sitting in meetings and the lights go out and the film's going and you are just fighting. That's why everyone, you dip, you put in a chon, it kind of wakes you up, but you are just fighting to stay awake. And I just imagine Lanning in the background, just, it's like Guns N' Roses playing it. It's like, welcome to the jungle, just like during film. Or was he Was he human back then and then later became a cyborg? Or was he like that when he played too?
Well, this is a line of questioning that I think you should go down when we explore that when we have him on.
When did you become a football robot? And at one point, were you human?
Well, guys, if you're just tuning in, we have added to the catalog.
Football's football, and the only way to get better at it is to play football.
Hell yeah. From one of our favorites, Dan Lanning.